Welcome to another episode of Out of Spec Dave, where today we've got a real fun one. As some of you may have noticed that in my intro where I roll the Out of Spec, I have a slogan that says, your EV journey is my destination. And today, that's what I want to find out. I want to get to know Paul. I want to understand how did he arrive at this EV? What was his journey? What was his dream car as a kid? And we're going to have a nice little chat and a friendly ride. And then after that, we're going to go out and run a 0 to 60 test, and then we'll call it a day. All right, so stick with me. We're going to have some fun today. Welcome again. Okay, so Paul, I think you got to show me a little bit about your car. I've never been in a Mustang Mach-E before, so what do you say we go for a drive?
Absolutely, yeah. Welcome to the Mach-E GT Performance Edition.
Yeah, these seats are really, I like how they're wide enough for me, but they've got some nice bolstering on the side. That's great.
They do, and I don't know how the lumbar's set on there.
I don't know.
But the lumbars can be pretty aggressive down low, and it really pushes you forward.
Okay, well,
so, depending on how
I'll play with that. So why don't we go for a little drive? And, you know, I just want to learn about this car. Maybe you could tell me a little bit about you know, how you got into this car. But even before that, I'm curious. We can go. You can start going. Okay. I'm just curious about, like, you know, when you were, obviously, I just met you. You were in my first video, so thank you very much again for that. That was a lot of fun. That was the EV6 Ioniq 5 and GV60 efficiency and charging test. And so thank you for coming all the way down to Stamford for that. But, you know, as I was getting to know you, a couple times when I was talking to you, Paul, I thought I was looking at myself in a mirror, you know, and I'm just curious, like, when you were a kid, what was your dream car? Or were you always a car guy, or were you just you know, recently getting into them?
So growing up, my father was a mechanic and a welder. Okay. And he owned his own business. And he did a lot of work on construction equipment, but he also did work on cars. So I grew up around cars and construction equipment and that type of thing. And so I always loved cars. And my dream car, but, you know, as a kid, was Thomas Magnum's Ferrari.
Oh, right. That was a 308 GTS, so if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. It was a 308.
308, because the GTB was a hardtop, and the GTS, I believe, was the one that you could take the roof out of. Like, it was almost a T-top.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Magnum's was a T-top. Yeah. Right. And
and
the tops were always out.
Yes.
And so that was the dream car. Never had one. Right. Came close. Right. To having one, but never had one.
Can I tell you a funny story about that?
Go.
When I was 16 years old, my uncle Roger had a 308 GTB, and he let me take the car out, and I had a date, and he handed me the keys, and all he said was, fill it up with gas. Okay, so I go to the gas station, and you know, in the rear where the roof line comes down and it meets the back of the car, it had a hidden panel in there that he didn't tell me about, and it would look like a vent. So when I got to the gas station, I was all cool, you know, 16, driving a stick.
King of the world.
King of the world, right? I pulled into the gas station. I couldn't figure out how to put gas in it. I was like, are you kidding me? So had I had a cell phone back then, I would have called him. Some guy in the gas station knew the car and told me what to do, and I felt so stupid. But, you know, all right, so anyway, keep going.
And what are the chances of some guy in the gas station knowing it? Because he clearly maybe watched Magnum P.I.
I don't know, maybe.
I don't know if Thomas Magnum ever put gas in
I don't know what the deal was with that, but that was, you know, that was a fun story. But I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. That's fine. So I never had one. You know, I'll tell you a story about it. I you know, was young, and I was working hard, and I was working 2 jobs and saving money, and I always wanted that car. And I went to a local foreign auto mechanic, right, in the town I was working in. What
town did you live? Did you grow up in?
So I grew up in Wellington, right, Connecticut. Wellington, Connecticut, which is a small little sleepy town up in the northeast corner, right, about 8 miles off the UConn campus. Okay, but was working in Glastonbury at the time, and still working Glastonbury, and So this foreign auto mechanic was in Glastonbury, and he specialized in all the foreign autos, performance autos. So I went to him. His name's Armand, and I went to him and said, "This is the car I want. I'm saving up for it. I'm looking for a used one." And so he looked at me as a young, late 20s guy, and he said, "I've got some advice for you." And he talks in a thick French accent. And he said, "I got some advice for you." He said, "Italian sports cars are like young mistresses, very expensive." And so he cautioned me, don't go there because, you buy a used one and the maintenance on it and, it's going to be nothing but bankrupt you.
Right.
And so I never bought one. And I'm glad I heeded his advice that, that I needed some financial security behind me and some years under my belt if I was ever going to try that.
So did you buy a 12-cylinder Jaguar XK8?
No. So I'm a Ford guy because my dad was a Ford guy. You know how that goes, right?
Yeah.
So very much Ford. My dad always had Ford pickups and Ford trucks. We always had Ford vehicles in the house.
Right.
My first car was the hand-me-down 1976 Ford LTD station wagon.
Oh man, did it have wood paneling?
Wood panels.
No way.
Yeah, white with wood panels.
Oh, beautiful.
And it was had a 400 V8 in it, and that was the family truckster. It was what Mom carted me around with.
That was freedom, though.
Oh, it was great. And so my parents got a new station wagon and gave me the hand-me-down station wagon.
Okay.
So I drove that. I strapped it for a little while. I had a surfboard strapped to the roof.
Oh, of course.
Did
you use the surfboard?
I didn't use the surfboard.
No, of course not. That was for show, right?
For sure.
You're a poser. Just like me. I did the same thing.
It was a lot of fun.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then the first Ford I owned, I ended up taking that to the junkyard. That car ultimately was meant just for the junkyard. Gave it to the junkyard. I think got $100 for it or something.
Right.
And the first car I owned was a 1983 Ford Bronco.
Okay.
And it was a 4-speed overdrive with the 6-cylinder in it. And it was a terrible color. It was the brown that Ford was doing at that time.
Right.
And it was a horrible color, but I loved that Bronco. I used to take the hard top off in the summer and drive around with it like that.
I want to learn a little bit about your EV journey and just like how is it that you're now so into EVs? By the way, this car feels great. That was some serious bumpy roads back there, and this has a nice ride to it. It's my first time ever in a Mustang Mach-E. And Paul, I didn't tell you this, but my first car ever was a Ford Mustang.
Wow.
A 1966 Ford Mustang. My grandfather gave it to me. He lived up in Rochester, New York, and it had more rust on it than it had metal on it. It had a 289 automatic, maroon with black interior, but that was my first car. So it's exciting to me to get back into a Mustang. Now, there's a lot of controversy around the Mustang name. We could talk about that, but how did you, tell me about your, why are you driving EVs now? I've learned that you've got 2 EV6s, a Wind, and a GT Line, right? And you brought the GT Line down last week for the test, but you've also got a Ford Lightning on order?
Yes.
So you've clearly switched over. And is it because you're a green, save the planet guy, or what has motivated you to get into EVs?
So I've been a truck guy mostly, right? The Bronco in '83, and then switched over to, had some cars, but also I've always had trucks. Right. And so when Ford announced the Lightning, I jumped on and I put the pre-order in that day and said I really want to have an F-150 Lightning. I currently have an F-150. I have a 2021 Powerboost F-150. Okay. And love it. Love everything about it except some of the rough shifts, which has been talked about. Right. And I've had the transmission reflashed, and it's a little bit better now. But anyway, so what got me interested in EVs was the F-150 Lightning, and wanted an electric truck. Wanted to be in that first generation of the electric truck. I never was interested in Teslas. Fascinated with the technology, but never really liked the design. Just never did it for me. So stayed away from Tesla. Not because I didn't, not for any other reason other than I just didn't like the styling or design. Right. So I put my first EV order in, like I said, for the F-150 Lightning, and then I started to really research electric vehicles at that point and read about them. And in the fall of last year, in the fall of 2021, I was kind of sick of a vehicle that I had had for a little while, and I said, you know, I want to maybe get an EV before the Lightning comes, to kind of experience what electric vehicles are like before the truck comes, because I'm waiting for the truck, no idea when it's going to come.
You're going to pregame the F-150 Lightning,
right? It's you know, it's killing everybody waiting for their trucks, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
I want to try it out. So I call my dealer. I have a very good relationship with my Ford dealer. I bought a lot of vehicles from them.
Okay.
And I called them up and said, hey, you know, Ford's got don't they have other EVs? I know they got the Mach-E. But they've got, don't they have some hybrids too? I was also researching the hybrids, like maybe I do a plug-in hybrid,
right, as
an interim vehicle. So he says, we got a Mustang Mach-E on the lot, and it was the base model, right? Mach-E, I think that's the Select model. It's either the Select or the Premium, and it had the small pack, and it was a 2021. It had the small battery pack.
How small? Like what size battery pack is that?
I don't remember. I just know the pack in this one is the 99 kilowatt, okay. 91 usable.
Okay.
It was the base model. It was all-wheel drive, but it was the base model Mustang Mach-E with a smaller battery pack in it.
Right.
I can't remember the kilowatt hour spec on that.
Right.
But it didn't. You know, it was stripped down, bare bones. Didn't have a glass roof. Didn't. You know, it was the base model.
Right.
And it was in silver. It looked great in silver. And he said, you know, come, we got one here, and it isn't sold, you know, come check it out. And so I went, and he let me demo it overnight. And it was cold. It was December of 2021, mm-hmm. and it was a cold spell, and the range was just terrible. I think getting in the car, you know, I think it said at a 90% charge, it had like 100 miles of range, you know, 110 miles. And now, granted, I was still new to EVs. I'm sure that was based on how others were driving it, right? The recent driving experience, people were test driving it, romping on it.
Right.
But I got in there and I looked at the range, and being a total noob to all of it, I said, okay, I thought it was cool, but I said, this isn't going to work range-wise.
So you had range anxiety without even, like, before you bought the car, you're like,
right out of the gate.
That's not happening.
This isn't going to work, right?
I get that.
And then the second part of it is that,
what is your use case? Like, if you were to buy the Mustang Mach-E, what were you thinking was your use case to say that 100 miles range, assuming that that's all it had? Was it just, I want to go play with the car, or were you thinking about road tripping it? Or?
Well, just regular, not having to charge every day.
I got
it.
I
didn't want to have to know that I had to plug in every day.
Right, that makes sense.
And then occasionally for work, I've got to take an 80 or 90 mile ride.
Right.
To go see someone, you know, each way. I got to take, you know, a day where I'm on the road for 3 hours.
Yeah.
You know, visiting, you know, seeing a customer or a client or doing something.
So 100 miles is a non-starter.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I didn't, you know, and then I would have to make sure that I'm fully charged for that trip, and then
too much to think about.
Too much to think about.
Yeah.
And then the other part of it that I didn't like about the car was it rode very stiff.
Really?
I didn't like the ride at all. I couldn't see myself. We have, you know, Northeast.
This doesn't feel stiff.
So I'll get to that.
Okay.
Right?
This feels really nice.
The ride on this car is light and day.
Okay.
You know, above that.
All right.
Right. That's as it's been documented. So ride was stiff, bad range. Thank you for the demo, but no, thank you.
Right.
So when I brought the car back, my sales guy said, well, you know, we just got in a plug-in hybrid that we can let you try. Kia. So it is a Ford Kia dealership.
Oh, okay.
And they had just got in a Kia Sorrento.
That's a strong dealership then. Ford Kia.
It's a great combination.
Yeah.
And I never had an interest in a Kia.
Right.
Right. Never saw myself driving a Kia. I've been an American car buyer for 30 years.
Right.
And you know, again, just wanted to drive American cars. Always felt good in American cars. Always gravitated towards Fords. I had a few other brands. I had a Ram truck for a little while. I experimented with that.
Right.
You know, I've had other brands. I've had foreign brands too. Had an Acura for a while. I had a Volkswagen for a while. So you know, 90% of the vehicles I've had are American, and of those, 90% are Ford, or 85, whatever. So you get the point. So he said it's a Kia Sorrento plug-in hybrid. Okay. And Kia is
2021.
It was a 2021.
Okay.
Oh no, I take that back. It was a 2022.
Okay.
It came in the fall of 21, or early winter, late fall of 2021, because it was December.
Right. Yep.
And I said, I don't see myself in a Kia. He said, well, come check it out. So it was the loaded up Sorrento. It had the blue interior, which was a special package. It was the top of the line, and it was in the black that Kia does. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, you know, this car doesn't look like a Kia. It had the new Kia badging.
I know, I like that new Kia badging.
The new Kia badging, you know, it looked sharp. And I said, well, he's like, here, take the keys, try it out. So he let me demo that overnight. It had like 9 miles on it, right? And he let me demo it overnight.
Smart salesman.
Very sneaky salesman.
Very deliberate.
So he lets me demo it overnight. So I demo it overnight, and I put some gas in it. It's got a very small tank, 11 or 12 gallons maybe. Okay. Small tank. It had a full charge when I grabbed it.
Do you know how big the battery kilowatt hours was in that thing?
I don't remember the kilowatt hours, but I just know that on a full charge you can get between 25 and 30 miles.
Oh, that's not bad.
That temperatures was more like 20 miles.
Okay, but still, you know, that's not bad. Like for me, I drive 7 miles a day one way. That would be enough.
Well, and my commute is about 10 miles each way. So I said, hey, I could plug this in every night. I could drive it, but then I knew I had the backup after the range anxiety issue with the Mach-E. I said, well, I got the gas, so if I need to, I'll just put gas in it and I'll go. Right. And I liked the way it rode. It felt comfortable. The interior was nice. So I said, you know, I'm going to try this. So I traded in a Jeep I had at the time for this. Right. And initially loved it. Had fun with it. And I was able to also, the battery pack is large enough so that qualified for a tax credit. It wasn't the $7,500, but I want to say it was about $6,300.
Was it that much?
It was over $6,000.
Was that under MSRP 40K? Did you get the cheaper Connecticut?
No. Okay. So it was the MSRP of that vehicle was right over $51,000.
Oh, so that's expensive.
Because it was fully loaded.
Okay, got it.
And I didn't get any Connecticut credits, but I got the federal credit.
Right, sure, right.
And so I drove that all the way to March of this year, March of 2021. And
March of 2022.
Forgive me, thank you. March of 2022.
And it's now July of 2022.
Right.
Okay. So a lot's happened since July. Since March.
It's been a fast. It's been real fast.
That's all right.
So I enjoyed the car. So then I'm again studying more, researching more, and then realizing that the plug-in hybrid is a great solution for a lot of people. Right. But I started to really get interested in the EVs, and going from my experience in using construction equipment, working with my dad years ago, I characterize a plug-in hybrid kind of like as the backhoe of electric vehicles. And what I mean by that is, anybody that knows construction equipment knows that a backhoe does a lot of different things with a front end loader and a hoe on the back for digging, right? But it doesn't do anything great. It does a lot of things well, but it doesn't do anything great. Right. And it seemed like the plug-in hybrids did a lot of things well, but it wasn't great as a gas vehicle, underpowered in a lot of ways, and but it didn't do a lot as an electric vehicle either, underpowered in a lot of ways, low range. When you're running gas, you're dragging the weight of the electric battery around with you. That's right. Right. When you're on electric, you're dragging around all the combustion engine components with you.
Was the combustion engine in that car the same engine that was in the regular gas car of the Sorrento, or was it a little smaller? So I guess what I'm saying is, once you run out of the electric battery power, the motor, did the car in combustion only feel underpowered, or did it feel like a regular fine?
It felt okay, but you were running at high RPMs.
High RPMs,
right? Okay. To get the power, you were running at high RPMs.
Right. Okay.
And I'm not sure if the combustion engine in the plug-in hybrid.
I don't know either.
Was the same size.
There sure is a lot of complexity built in order to solve two problems. You know, it's like those watches years ago that had calculators. They had all different things on them. They were kind of too many things in one, right? You know, so I still have a soft spot in my heart, though, for those people that are just like you, right? If you've got think about this, if you had a car or a truck that had 50 or 60 miles of electric only range that also was a plug-in hybrid, that might be a good first car for someone to get into. to not worry about the range. Don't worry. If we run out of juice, there's gas stations everywhere, right?
And that's how I got into it, right? Because the Mach-E test drive was like, okay, this could actually work, the plug-in hybrid. But then I quickly outgrew it. I was fascinated with the electric side.
Right.
The combustion side, you know, I was ready to give it up. And I still had my pickup. So then I started to realize, you know, if I need to take a longer trip, I can just take the pickup. Right, I've got 4 licensed drivers in my house. 2 kids with licenses. My wife with a license. But I said, okay, I can give up the combustion side and go to a full EV.
Right.
So I called up my sales guy in the dealer, and I saw the Super Bowl ad for the Kia EV6.
Yeah. By the way, the best ad ever.
Thought it was a great ad.
It was that little Robo Dog or whatever.
Yeah, Robo Dog.
Oh man, when I saw that. And I was looking for an Ioniq 5. I said, I gotta get an EV6.
Right.
For that commercial alone, right? Best commercial ever.
So I had the Kia, and I'm like, okay, Kia's. I was, you know, happy with all of fit and finish and aspects of the plug-in hybrid for what it was, right?
Yeah.
But I was ready to move on. So I called up my dealer. I said, hey, you got an EV6?
Right.
And he said, we had one. We just sold it. We got another one coming in. Okay, what is it? You know, it's black on black. It's the Win spec. It's the mid-tier spec.
Right.
I said, well, call me when it hits the ground. It's not sold, he said. So call me when it hits the ground. And they're a rural dealership, right? They do a lot of volume in Ford, and they do a good volume in Kia. But you know, no one had ordered one, so they had this one coming in, and it was unsold. And you've talked about it in some of your videos, where if you're looking for an EV, yeah, there's wait lists and you can't find them.
Yeah.
But if you work the phones, you call dealers,
listen,
you build relationships.
It's like in the stock business, it's a small cap stock. You got to know how to find the liquidity, right?
So
you got to look for it.
So you work it. So
yeah, you got to work it.
And some of it's luck, right? So I definitely got lucky.
Yep.
So he calls me up a few weeks later, and the Kia is there. And now this is late March, and so I drove down, jumped in it. You know, took it for a ride around the parking lot, and didn't even get it out on the road yet. And said, "I'm buying it.
Yeah,
you're getting this Sorrento back. I'm in this, right?" So we looked at the numbers, and it worked, right? I did pay a little bit over MSRP. I paid $1,000 over MSRP for the EV6, which I didn't want to do, but okay, I get it.
But you get the 7,500.
I'm getting 7,500, and I realized it was an in-demand vehicle.
And by the way, $1,000 over at that time was probably a gift.
Listen, I was comfortable with it. Yeah. Right. Didn't like it because I'd never paid over MSRP.
Yeah, no, I get it.
For a vehicle.
I get it.
But I did, and so I jumped in that and had, and instantly enjoyed it.
Right.
And yes, in the early weeks I had it, it was cold and it wasn't anywhere near the 274 EPA range, but it worked well. It charged fast. And you charged mostly at home with this car? Mostly at home. So you didn't really experience cold weather DC fast charging in that car as often as perhaps I have. Just a couple times. Right. And it still performed well. Did it? Yep. Okay. 30 minutes, right? From 10 to 80? Yeah. 35 minutes? Yeah, I found that the EGMP platform cars in the cold weather, I mean, we're pulling like 65, 70 kilowatts. That was it. You know, at 10 or 15% state of charge. So, you know, I'm happy that the new GV60 that Kathy just bought has the battery preconditioning, which will be good. But I'm, you know, that's a you're charging mostly at home. Mostly at home. I put a 50 amp outlet in when I got the Sorrento. I've got a friend who's an electrician. He came over, he wired me up with a 50 amp outlet, and I bought an inexpensive charger off of Amazon. Right. Because the Sorrento doesn't come with a charger. The EV6 doesn't come with a charger. Does it come with just a plug, like a cord for 110? No. It comes with nothing. Nothing? Right. The Sorrento comes with, I'm 99%. The Sorrento, but what about the EV6? EV6 comes with nothing. Are you serious? It comes with, so isn't it interesting, right? Doesn't the Ioniq 5 not come with the vehicle to load adapter? That's true. Right, but it comes with a 110. Yes. Now the Kia EV6 comes with the vehicle load adapter, but doesn't come with a 110 charger. It's the reverse. Someone was out drinking too much and Hyundai to make that decision. Now the Kia EV6 comes with 1,000 free kilowatt hours on Electrify America. Doesn't the Ioniq 5 come with 2 years unlimited?
Yeah, well, 2 years, yes, unlimited 30-minute sessions.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
But you know, you're 1,000 kilowatt hours hard stop on the EV6. Just different the way they market it, right?
Interesting.
So anyway, enjoyed the Wind Kia EV6 a lot, and called my dealer. I said, listen, I love this car. Do you have another one coming in?
Right.
Because I'm studying on the GT line, and I think I want a GT line. And he said, we've got one coming in. I don't know when it's going to hit the ground. You know, probably April, maybe May. It was early April at this point. So I'll call you. It's not sold. Okay. What color is it? It's the pearl white GT line, you know, all loaded up. And I said, okay, call me when it hits the ground. Again, getting lucky. It's not sold. And calls me up. I believe it was early May. He calls me up and says, it hit the ground. So drive over there. Now I was thinking I was going to trade in the Wind version of the EV6. I'd gone on Carvana. At that point, even with me paying $1,000 over MSRP, Carvana would have bought that car for what I paid for it. They would have bought it used for $1,000 over MSRP.
Right.
So I could have got out of it for exactly what I paid for it, but I would have lost the sales tax credit.
Right.
So when I walked into the dealership, I saw the white, snow white pearl Kia EV6 and loved the look of it over the black one.
The GT line.
The GT line.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
That was the one you brought last week.
Right.
That thing is sweet looking.
And I love the look of it over the black one. So
yeah.
I knew I wanted it, and then it just came down to how I was going to pay for it. And he said, listen, we'll match the Carvana offer on your Wind EV6. And I would get the sales tax credit. So I'm like, okay, I could just flip it in. But then my son.
That's like $4,000.
It's Connecticut over 50,000. 7.75 in Connecticut. That's right.
I know.
So the math was going to work regardless of how I did it.
Right.
But then I'm thinking about it, and my son had turned 16 a couple months prior.
Okay.
He was getting his license soon. And I could see my son driving the Wind Kia EV6, so I said,
"So could he."
So this is my wife's car, just as your GV60 is your wife's car.
So this one now, so you had a Mach-E. She was driving that, and then what prompted you to say, "See you later, Mach-E base. I'm going for the GT Performance"?
Well, so I didn't have. My wife was driving an Audi Q7.
Okay.
And I got her to trade that for a Mach-E GT. Now,
let me ask you this. When you say you got her to trade that, was that, honey, you are going to do this, or
I begged her.
You begged her.
Come on, let's be honest.
Okay.
Right?
I mean, I'm just curious, because I've done that my whole life with my wife. She just gets exasperated and says, okay, whatever. I'll drive whatever you tell me to drive. Is it the same in your house?
No, it's definitely not the same. It's a negotiation.
It's a negotiation. Well, okay.
Right. She loved her Q7.
Okay.
I was never a fan of the Q7. I never liked that vehicle.
Right.
But she loved it. Right. She loved the Kia EV6s though. She loved the electric vehicle, and she was fascinated. She had become fascinated with electric vehicles in her little bit of driving there.
And did she have range anxiety about it, or not really?
Well, for her, you know, she's just around town, short trips.
Okay.
Very few road trips. So I again called my Ford dealer, my sales guy, and do you have any Mustang Mach-E's? No, but we have a GT in their blue, the grabber blue, coming in.
Great color, by
and
the way.
It's going to be over MSRP. He warned me up front, but you know it's available.
Right.
And I said, okay, call me when it hits the ground. So in early June, he calls me, because it hit the ground.
Oh, so this just happened in June.
Correct.
So she's been driving the Q7 all through the EV6.
All through it. She's had the Q7 for 2 years.
Okay, I get it.
Right. The Q7 was a 2020 purchase. Right.
Right.
So I went down when the car hit the ground. I went down and checked it out. I drove it. I felt the ride was better than the baseline Mach-E. And it had the big battery pack in it, so granted, the weather was warmer.
Now you had a lot more range.
But now I had more range, now I had a lot more experience with the electric vehicles.
Yeah.
We always had the pickup truck, the gas pickup truck, the F-150
The big battery Mustang's got pretty good range, right? I mean, is it close to 300, isn't it?
Yeah, the Mach-E GT was 270.
That's pretty,
EPA rated 270.
That's good.
So I convinced my wife to trade convinced my wife to trade the Audi in for the Mach-E GT.
Right.
And I bought it knowing that I really wanted the performance edition, but my dealer and no other dealer within a couple hundred miles had any GT performance editions that weren't spoken for.
Right.
I had worked the phones, I had made a lot of calls, there was none. So grabbed this one while it was available.
Right.
The math worked again. They gave me a great trade in for the Audi. I paid over MSRP. I'm embarrassed to say, $3,000 over MSRP for the Mach-E GT, but the math worked because they made up for it on the Audi. I got a number on the Audi that was absurd. I think it was only $2,000 less than we paid for it.
Yeah.
Because it was in such demand, right? So again, I had that Mustang Mach-E GT for a very short period of time. Had it for basically a month, and was constantly searching for a performance edition. Found one in Brewster, New York, at Brewster Ford, that someone had canceled.
Yeah, that's the way to play the game.
Unfortunately, the person had ordered it, and when it came in, their financing fell through.
Yeah,
tragic. I feel horrible for them. Right. But I was the right place at the right time. I checked the website. There it was. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this can't be real. It must be a customer order. Called them up. Yep, actually, it's available. And literally drove down that night, looked at it.
All right, great.
So this car was, it's only got 636 miles on it as we're driving here right now.
Wow.
And this car, anyone that says that the GT performance is head and shoulders against the GT or over the GT, in my opinion, is absolutely 1,000% right.
And tell me why.
The ride. I could care less about the faster.
Well, does it go faster? Is there more power?
I don't notice it. Even in the unbridled mode.
What about on paper?
On paper, it's faster, right? This in the unbridled mode, I think 0 to 60 is supposed to be 3.5. I want to say the regular GT is 3.7 or 3.8.
Okay.
And the unbridled benefits of the performance is the suspension, big time, and the seats. I do like these seats better.
They're very comfortable.
I like the interior finish.
So the seats are different in the GT Performance than they are in the GT?
They are. They have this bolster here for your shoulders, which is different.
Right.
And then the material is different.
Right.
It's a suede type material in the GT, which I liked. These are the stitching is a little bit different. It's got the silver highlights in it.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's a totally different material, and I like it better.
Paul, good luck with this car. Now, next up, let's do a 0 to 60.
Exactly. Let's charge this thing back up.
Yeah, let's take it up to 90%. Right. Give it some juice, and then we'll give it the beans, as Kyle says. All right.
Absolutely.
We'll give it the full beans and see how it does. All right. Next up, 0 to 60, folks. All right. So here we are. We're going to do a 0 to 60 test. Paul's going to take the Mustang Mach-E GT Performance and let it rip. So let's go. Well, let's see what he did. Come on back.
I was getting a little freaked out because I was going so fast.
I know.
Right? This thing's some freaking missile. A little bit.
Yeah, I thought so too.
A little bit. It's like, that's the first time I've ever done that. Really? I've ever did a launch.
All right.
It's a little freaky.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so I'm in one pedal driving and in the engage mode right now. And when I take my foot off the brake, it holds. It does not go. And, the car feels really good. What I've noticed so far in the limited amount of time that I've been driving it is that in one pedal driving around town, when I take my foot off the accelerator, the car seems to continue to coast for a little bit before it kicks in with the regen. It feels a little disconcerting to me. It's a different tune than what I'm used to. And then when it comes to a stop, it's got a little shake at the end. And so if you're at a stoplight and you inch up a little bit to the guy in front of you, it seems like it actually grabs the brakes and it bucks a little bit. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I feel like that's odd. I don't feel that in the GV60 or the Ioniq 5. I never felt that. At highway speeds, this suspension floats. It's really very good. When I punch it, it goes up to speed very quickly, and I'm only in the engage mode. Then there's unbridled mode as well. I understand that the unbridled mode, it only gives you the full beans for 5 seconds. Let me try this now at speed here. I'm doing allegedly 60. Let me punch it. Not earth-shattering, throw your head back from 60 to, let's call it 70 plus. But look, this is a beautiful, solid, gorgeous riding car. I mean, this feels like I could take it on a nice long trip. The only problem with this car, it's not really the range. It's got a big battery pack. I think it's usable over 90 kilowatt hours. But the charging speed is slow, especially above 80%. Now, normally when you're on a road trip, you don't really want to charge above 80%, so that's okay. I'm just on a highway doing the speed limit, of course, and you know, to say that I can really test out what unbridled would feel like or what this suspension would feel like on a backcountry road, it's not fair to the car. I've read a lot about the performance upgrade with the suspension modifications, and I am very, I would love to have this out on a back road and kind of do some spirited driving to see how it would feel. But on the highway, it's extremely comfortable. These seats are amazing. I love these seats. I mean, these are fantastic seats. They are not, I don't believe they're cooled seats, and I don't believe that they're massaging seats, but they are very comfortable. And I give this car a thumbs up. I like this Mustang more than I thought I would, to be honest. I thought it was going to ride super firm. When you say Mustang Mach-E performance, you know, GT performance, I thought it would be a firm, rough riding car. This thing is anything but that. It is very smooth. I'm impressed. Thank you, Paul, for letting me drive your car, or your wife's car. It's beautiful. Congratulations and good luck with it. Look at this farm here that Paul has in Willington, Connecticut. 30 acres. He's got blueberry bushes over there under wraps, I guess. Probably a lot of deer. He's got, I guess when COVID hit, his kids are swimmers. And he put in these swim lanes for the kids to come from the YMCA and swim. Look at this fire pit right here. This is just beautiful. Beautiful, I love this. So here I am at Paul's house with the Mustang Mach-E GT Performance. Here's his two Kias, the big bad boy, which is the GT line, and then also got a Powerboost. So today we had a blast though, and I want to thank you, Paul, so much for all your time last week doing the EGMP comparison video, and now today. So I just want to thank you so much for letting me drive your car, and also this test today. So what do you think?
Well, I want to thank first and foremost Kathy for letting me drive her car.
Oh, are you a smart guy?
That car is unbelievable.
Oh.
A fit and finish above and beyond. She's gonna be so happy in that car.
What are your thoughts about the GV60?
I think the interior is just absolutely spectacular.
And the seats, are they soft and supple?
The seats are firm.
They are.
The seats are firm.
They are firm.
But when you open the door of that car, it just smells like Napa leather. It smells like a brand new leather belt.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
I love it. But, well, listen, thank you again, Paul, for, I couldn't have done these first couple of videos without you, and I'd love to continue to do. We got to do something fun with these two Kias. We got to do a comparable one day on those.
Definitely.
And, but again, listen, folks, thank you very much again for watching another episode of Out of Spec Dave. Look at this beautiful grabber blue Mustang GT Performance. Welcome home. Anyway, have a good day. Take care. We'll catch you in the next one, folks. Bye-bye.